Okay, so welcome to the webinar. Thank you so much for joining. Just a little bit about me before we get started. So Pack for Camp, I'm the co-CEO together with my wife, Melissa, of Pack for Camp. We partner with summer camps across the US to create swag stores that are available year-round. This is our ninth year of operation. We started in 2017. And Pack for Camp is also a one-stop shop for people to buy everything they need for summer camp. So it's really like a space that's kind of dedicated to the camp world. And what we're going to talk about today is starting a logo-aware store, what it means, what are the different models, and I'll also demonstrate, a potential model that we use, although we'll talk about lots of other models as well. So let's begin by asking the question, why do people care about swag? Why should we care about it at all? So I've had a lot of discussions with camp professionals about this, about swag stores in general. I meet them at conferences. I'll be at the upcoming Tri-State Conference if any of you are there in Atlantic City. And I've had a lot of phone conversations, etc. And what comes out is that people will often think, oh, if you're selling something, it must be to make money on it. So there is the financial incentive for people it is a good fundraiser to make money off selling your swag. But I think the main motivator for people is really about the camp pride, camp identity, really as like your camp logo and your camp design is your brand. And camps are really happy to have people out there wearing their stuff, wearing their brand, and kind of, it's people are walking around. It's like a walking advertisement. But beyond the actual marketing aspect of it, it also connects people to camp. We found that during the year of COVID, especially that first year where most camps were kind of shut down from actual face-to-face activity, a lot of people were buying swag just to kind of keep that connection going with the camp. It's also a way for alumni to connect. And as I said, there is the fundraising aspect. But like I said, it's a lot of it is about the connection and the camp brand and keeping that camp connection alive. It's also a service to campers. A lot of campers themselves they're excited about camp and they want to have a way to buy their swag, buy different designs. So as camp staff, as camp directors, we want to make the swag available to them because they want it. So it's also just a way of serving our campers. So that's a few reasons why people want swag, why it's interesting. Now, many camps will make physical swag available during camp. Not everyone does that, but some will have like a canteen where they can come to or available in their office. But then a lot of camps will come to the point where they want to make it available online for the obvious reason that people want camp swag where camp is not in session or when they're living far away, or maybe they're alumni who don't come to camp anymore, but they still want it. So a lot of camps get the question from the families, when can we buy the stuff online? We want to have a way of getting the swag, year round. So the request is out there and the idea is a great idea, but then when it comes to actually executing the idea, people face a lot of challenges. So the biggest challenge is inventory. How many do you know? How many do I order? So I've got a great idea for a sweatshirt, but what if I don't sell any? I can't tell you the amount of camp people that I've spoken to that are, while they're speaking to me, they're sitting in a basement filled with old sweatshirts that they didn't manage to sell, or t-shirts, or it's down in the basement somewhere. So that's often an issue. Just you don't know, how you're going to hold all the inventory and what do you order? The second question is the logistics. Okay, great idea to sell online, but we run camps. We don't run websites. So how do you go and set up and maintain a website? Who's going to do it? Maybe we don't have so many staff on our camp, or maybe we're just not technically inclined to start running a website. So the question of how to go about the logistics and how to maintain that is another challenge that comes along. And then storage. We spoke about that a little bit earlier when we were speaking about the inventory. But again, if you're going to be storing all the swag out of your camp office or wherever it is, it can become a challenge where to keep all the inventory. And then delivery. Someone, okay, great. So I have an online store. Now someone's placed an order. I don't live near the camp or, the stuff stored at camp. I just spoke to a camp recently. It was actually the alumni board that would run their store. And when someone orders during the year, they have someone drive up to camp like an hour or two, go get the item, ship it and pack it, or pack it and ship it. It's not the most practical way of running a store. And then there's the cost. So there's the cost of actually making the swag, which obviously you can get back when you sell it. But there are other costs involved. If you're going to take one of your staff and have them sort of run the store and be in charge of the operation, you're paying for that person's salary to keep the store up. So what are going to be the costs involved? So these are the different challenges that people face when they're thinking about starting a store. And now let's look at the different models of actually selling the stuff online. So the first model there are more models in this, but we're taking 3 of the most common ways of doing this. So the first one is in-house, where you actually go about doing this on your own. Maybe you have someone on your staff who's kind of familiar with this kind of thing. Maybe they have some experience with it. So the camp goes, they build their own website and they do all the logistics. So they find their place to store, they decide what they're going to order, they do the packing, delivery, etc. So that's really where the camp takes on the entire project from start to finish. Then you have the idea of a pop-up store. Now, a lot of printers where their main business is doing bulk print, they'll still provide a service of doing an online store, but they'll often do it as a pop-up store. And the idea with a pop-up store is that, first of all, it's outsourced to the vendor. So you're not actually building the website. The vendor is doing that for you. But the idea of the pop-up store is not a store that's available 24/7, but rather you do it for a specific time. So maybe it's a month before camp, or maybe it's during the holiday season. And the idea is that orders will be taken at a specific time. So let's say we're doing a store for the holidays where the stuff is going to be delivered during the month of December. So you'll put out a message to your campers. You'll say, order everything by the middle of November. And that way you also can get an idea of, the printer at least can get an idea of what to print, because you're taking the orders in advance. And then once all the orders are in, they'll ship it out at a specific time. Usually, though, there'll be minimum. So if the vendors are offering a t-shirt, so they may ask the camp to commit to a minimum of like 12 t-shirts, 24 t-shirts, whatever it is, before offering that item. So that's the idea of a pop-up store. It's literally pops up. It's there. You can place your order. The deliveries are made at a specific time, and then it closes again. Print on demand is the third model. And that is, again, it's outsourced to a vendor. Someone else does it for you. In this model, the store is available year-round. And that's because the items are only printed when they're ordered. So it takes advantage of newer printing technology, not the traditional screen print. There's digital technologies there's a few examples of DTG, which is direct to garment, or DTF, which is direct to film. But either way, it's ways that printers can print one item at a time. And therefore, you can offer a store and only print something when it's ordered. And that allows you to not have to do it as a pop-up, and also to keep it available year-round. So those are the 3 basic models. And the next slide, I want to look at how these models kind of deal with the challenges of creating a store. And we'll go one by one through the 3 different models. So if you're looking at an in-house store, let's just go down the table. So you can see the logistics is going to be on the camp. So it's obviously the more challenging one amongst the 3. Guessing what to order in advance. Again, if you're doing it in-house and you're printing everything on your own, you are going to have to figure out what to order and hope that it sells. In terms of minimums, again, if you're ordering everything on your own, when you're doing an in-house store, so you're also going to have to, typically, if you're ordering from a printer that and you're going to be holding it in inventory, they'll have sort of minimums that you have to order, and you're going to have to store the inventory. The one thing is that you can, because you're fully in control of your store, so you can keep it open all year round as opposed to like a pop-up store. In terms of profitability, if your goal is purely or not purely or primarily to use this as a fundraiser, so you do have the potential of higher margins because you're doing it all in-house. You're not sharing the profits with a third-party vendor. However, people often make this mistake, or it's a sort of a way of thinking about it, that you might be buying your t-shirts for $5 and selling them for $15 and making $10 a t-shirt. The only thing that people don't take into account is that there is a cost to actually producing the stuff, to not producing it, sorry. There's a cost for actually running the store. So it may not be a dollar cost that you see in front of you, but having one of your associate directors spending X amount of hours running the store means that you're actually paying for that as well. So that's the in-house model. Then we have the pop-up store. So if you look at the pop-up store, all the logistics are taken care of. So you don't have to worry about the packing and delivery and the logistics because generally the vendor is going to take care of that. The same in terms of what to order in advance because it's a pop-up store. So people are ordering in that month before or in that period before it's actually delivered. So again, you don't have that challenge. However, when it comes to minimums, even with the pop-up store, you'll often have to commit to certain minimums on items that you're offering. In terms of storing the inventory, when you do a pop-up store with a third-party vendor, they'll store most of the inventory, but the stuff that you had to commit to a minimum and you didn't sell may come back to you to store in your camp. They're not open all year round. That's one of the biggest disadvantages of the pop-up store. And in terms of the profitability, it's lower margins than doing it on your own, but the risk is also lower, and the time, the sort of resources you have to put in is lower as well. In terms of print on demand, one of the print on demand is advantageous in that it addresses almost all of these challenges. So the logistics is completely out of your hands because the third-party vendor is taking care of that. You don't need to guess what to order in advance because you're only printing one at a time. There's also no required minimums because you're printing one at a time. You're not storing the inventory and you're open all year round. In terms of the profitability, you're sharing the profits with the third-party vendor. So the actual margins on the items are lower than when you're doing it in-house, but the risk is there's no risk involved because you're not holding any inventory or outlaying any money to buy any inventory. And it's more hands-off in terms of the resources that you need to invest. So I'm going to go now into a demo of what we do at Pack4Camp. But before that, are there any questions as to what I've spoken about so far? Okay, so let's move on to the demo. Okay, so this is Pack4Camp. And this is our website that I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, where we host, today we work with around 100 camps around the US. So the example that I'm giving you here is an example of a store we host on Pack4Camp. This is called Ebner Camps. And I like to show this example because they're actually an umbrella of 4 different camps. So the way we structure your store on Pack4Camp will depend on the structure of your camp. So typically it can just be straight to a page of all your swag. But if you have different departments or divisions, so we could have a home page that then goes into each different camp. So Ebner Camps has 2 sleepaway camps and 2 day camps, and we have a store for each one of them. So let's go into one of the camps to see what a typical store looks like. So this is Camper Westing. And all the items you see here are the items that they have chosen to display in their store. Now, the way we work at Pack for Camp, we work on the print on demand model. So we discussed 3 different models. This is all printed on demand. It's all digitally printed. And we have a catalog that you choose the items that you want to display in your store. And then we build a store according to those specifications. So if you want to sell this zip hoodie, this tie-dye zip hoodie, tie-dye hoodie, sorry, zip hoodie, tie-dye t-shirt, you're going to choose those exact items. We don't make those choices for you. We're going to build the store exactly according to your specifications using your designs. So the camp chooses the items that they want to display. They also choose the designs, and they even choose the colors that the items will be available in. So let's say somebody wants to, one of your campers wants to come on here and buy an item. So it's going to work like any website. They're going to come on, they're going to choose their color, they're going to choose their size, and they're going to place their order. Once they place the order, that is when these items are being printed, and it's then delivered to the camper. Typically within about 10 days, they'll have their item within 10 days of placing their order. So again, the advantage of this model is that it allows you to offer lots of different items with different designs as well. You're not limited to just one design. You can have multiple designs and multiple colors, but if you don't sell anything, nothing happens. So it's not like that scenario that some of you might have come across in the past where you've invested in these green hoodies and no one wanted a green hoodie that year, and then you're stuck with them. Rather, you're offering these different items, and whatever someone wants, they'll come on and order it, and only then will it be printed. So that takes away a lot of the challenges of actually putting up an online store. So if you decided, yes, I want to build an online store. So what we do is we'll send you to the catalog. This is our catalog that you see here. There's lots of different categories, from short sleeve tees to sweatshirts to bottoms, headwear, etc. So I'll show you an example of one of the categories. These are the short sleeve tees. And you would go through the catalog, choosing the items that you want in your store, and you'd fill out a spreadsheet to tell us what you want in your store and what we should build. So let's just take a quick example. This is the Gildan short sleeve t-shirt, the classic t-shirt that many stores include. And what you'll see here is you'll see all the information you need. So you'll see the name of the item, the price. That's the price that the camper is going to pay for this t-shirt. In our company, we offer a 10% commission on every item. So if you sell something for $18.99, the camp earns $1.90. Then you can choose the colors. So you'll say, okay, I want this item and I want it available in berry, black, and daisy. So you'll tell us those are the colors you want. You will send us the designs and you'll tell us where the design placement should be. Should it be across the middle, in the left chest, in the back? And then once you've given us all those, all that information, we can then go about building your store. So you'll exactly what you did on this t-shirt, you'll go back to the catalog and you'll do the same thing. So you might go into sweatshirts and decide, okay, I want a tie-dye hoodie, or I want a zip hoodie. And again, you'll go in there, you'll provide us with the colors. And once you've built all of that, it gets sent, you send that information to us, and we build the store based on your specifications. Once the store is up, which normally takes about 2-3 weeks, depending on the amount of items, it's then available year-round. So then the store is there, campers can come in anytime. And basically all the camp has to do, none of the logistics are with the camp. So we take payment for everything, we deliver everything, customer service is with us. What the camp has to do is simply promote the store. So you might, when it's coming up to camp, you might want to promote it around the holidays. That's totally up to the camp. That's the camp's job when it comes to hosting the store. We take care of all the logistics around it. And then in terms of the designs, once you've built the store, you can always change it up. So maybe a month from now or a year from now, you're doing your 75th anniversary that you're celebrating for your camp. And you might want to send a new set of designs. So you'll send us those designs over and we'll put that on the appropriate items. So once it's up and running, you can constantly change the designs. You might want to take stuff down, put stuff back up. That's completely up to you. In terms of the costs at Pack for Camp, there's no cost to building a store. So you can create a store. There's no maintenance cost. There's no setup fees. And we also don't tie you into any type of contract. So if you want to take down the store after a year, we'll take it down as well. So that covers the basics of the Pack for Camp model for Logoware stores. We also discussed some of the other models available out there in the market. One other thing I'll mention that people don't often think about, but then when they're made aware of it, it's actually, they find it quite useful, and that is discount codes. So say, for example, you're running an early bird special where you promise everyone who signs up by a certain date that you'll give them a tie-dye t-shirt. So if you do it in the traditional way, you're going to have to figure out then all those people who signed up, what sizes they are, what colors they prefer. You're going to have to go order those, print those, and then figure out a way to deliver those. Once you have an online store, it makes it a whole lot easier. What you can do is you can purchase discount codes in advance. And then when your early birds earn their prize, you simply send them a discount code. So you've already paid for the code. You send them that code, they go on there in their own time, place the order, have it delivered to them, and it takes the headache off your heads of worrying about going and printing it and the sizes and the colors, etc. And rather you're just giving them a code and allowing them to order exactly what they want. So that's just a nice aspect that people like to take advantage of when it comes to having an online store. So questions. Anybody have any questions? You're all on mute. So if you do have a question, you should unmute yourself or you can write it in the chat. Okay, so if there are no questions, we can move on to the last slide. And so if you are interested in exploring setting up a store on Pack for Camp for your camp, so you can set up a meeting with me on Zoom. You can email me at gabby@packforcamp.com. I will email you a recording of this webinar as well as my contact information. So if any of you are interested in building a store, or if you just have questions, it doesn't have to be about Pack for Camp, just about how to go about creating your own swag store. So you're very welcome to make contact with me, and I can try help you with whatever you need. Thank you very much for joining. If you do have questions, I'm here. If not, we can end the meeting. So thanks so much.